Hi, welcome to my recording studio. My name is Louis Piluso and today we're going to be reviewing the lovely Apogee Symphony Desktop. It's the small interface from the Symphony series and a more compact version that promises high-level recordings in a small format, being able to take it anywhere you want and conserve the same quality. So we're going to be reviewing the specs, what it can do, what it can't do. We are also going to check out really cool stuff they got, like this we can see right here. And most importantly, the idea of this video is for you to know if it serves your workflow or not. And I'm also going to point out a couple of things that I would like them to add to the next firmware version, which is something cool from this interface, is that every time that they release a new firmware update, you can load it straight into your Symphony Desktop without having to buy a new one. So the cool thing is that it becomes new again. First of all, before we start the video, I want to say a couple of words and give Betty Bennett, the founder of Apogee, Bob Clear Mountain and the whole Apogee family, a huge hug and show the support from this channel. They've been going through a really tough time. They lost their home and their studio due to the fires in LA, so I want to show them my support. I met them last year and they were really nice people. I was invited into the Apogee headquarters, which were beautiful, and everybody who worked there was very kind and sweet. And I also want to thank SBC that they take care of Apogee in Argentina, where I'm from. So back to the Symphony Desktop, I'm going to be releasing two videos. This one is the first one where we're going to check out and how it works. And in the next video, we're going to put it to the test and record a song from the ground up. So if you don't want to miss that video, don't forget to subscribe below. So let's start with an overview of the interface. The Symphony Desktop catches your attention right away because it looks very similar to the MacBook Pros. It has this touch screen and it includes one physical knob that allows you to change whatever parameter you have selected, which is really nice. Like I can go into my preamp and select the input gain or the output gain and change it from here. So for the connectivity, we can plug in two microphones, or we can plug in two instruments like a guitar or a bass with a TS connector, or we can plug in a TRS for line levels. It has balanced TRS outputs, two individual headphone outputs as well that even have different mixes going through them. USB-C connection. The other cool thing is that it has optical input and output, so you can use an ADAT expander, so you can have 8 extra channels to record in. So let's go into the specs. So Apogee has been always known for having like great quality converters. You can see the Symphony interface in most recording studios, high-level recording studios. And I think that having Bob Clear Mountain involved in the company means that the audio quality is going to be the top priorities of the company before sales and marketing. So that's something I really appreciate, because it will all have a very good quality control, even though we're going to mention a couple of little things. So the dynamic range of the converters is of 129 dB weighted, so that's something important to take into account. So let's start with the preamps. The preamps have 75 dB of gain. That is a lot and I love it. Like I mentioned, you can change the input level or the output level from here. I have it in, we can change the impedance, and we have 3 different views that we can change here, or we can swap them by clicking on the input right here. So if we go to the next screen, we'll be able to select the type of input we want to connect. So we can choose between microphone, instrument level, or 2 different line levels. And then we can choose different preamps, because something that's really cool is that they include the Alloy mic preamp. That's a technology that emulates different types of preamps. So at the moment of this video, they are offering 3 types of preamps. We have the first one, that is the Apogee Symphony. That is the preamps included in the Symphony interfaces, which are very clean, very nice preamps that have a very fast response, very good transients. Another preamp we can choose is the Neve preamp. That is a classic 1066 that it will have a nice bump in the low end and a very silky top end, but with more harmonic distortion as the previous one. We can change the impedance, and like I mentioned, we can change and control the knobs by just clicking on them and moving the encoder. And then we can, or the other preamp we can choose is the emulation of the Ampex 601, which will be a more dirty flavor. It will distort quicker and it'll have much more personality. So you can choose between having a very clean one that is like kind of intermediate as the Neve, and one that is full of character and quite with more personality, that is the Ampex. So once we selected the preamp we want, we can activate phantom power. We can link both channels together, the first one and the second one. We can activate the soft limit, and we can invert the polarity. Something that I really like as we go into the effects that come in with the DSP. DSP is a technology that allows us to use the processing from the interface and not from the computer to load different kind of effects and processors. So we have the print effects rack and the monitor effects rack. The difference is that the print means that whatever process and EQs and compressors that you put on your channel, it will print. So once you start recording, it will have those effects. If you use it as a monitor, it won't. So that means that you'll be able to listen through those effects, but once you go into your DAW, those effects won't be there. So if we click on print effects, we have quite a list process of different famous pieces of gear that you can use. So first of all, we have the Symphony channel strip that has an EQ. If we open it here, it has an EQ, it has compression, and it has a drive. We can add up to 4 different modules. We can select, for instance, a Pultec and change all of these parameters by just clicking on them and moving the encoder. So the boost, the attenuator, and the frequencies all moved from this nice pot that makes a beautiful clicky noise that I love. Bandwidth, we can also open this up. Very easy to use. At the time of making this video, it also includes the Pultec for lows and highs, the Pultec for mids, the LA3A. There's an opto compressor, which is really, really good. And then we have a compressor by Apogee and the EQ from Apogee that for instance, you can just click here and change different parameters, as you can see in the screen. And I can change the Q, the bandwidth, or the frequency. Or I can do it from the computer and you'll see it moving on this screen, which is really nice, isn't it? Now you can actually swap the order of these plugins as ever you want, which is really nice. And you can turn them on and off and try to hear how it sounds before and after. And we can just delete them. And for the monitor effects, they have the same options. Something I want to suggest is that they include reverbs and delays into the monitor effects section, because sometimes when I'm recording a singer, I'll want them to have delay and reverb, at least for them to be able to hear how it's going to sound. And also for me as well, because it's nice to have that kind of processing going in the DSP and not inside of your DAW. Hopefully they can include it, because they have a couple of reverbs from Bob Clear Mountain that are available as a plugin. Something I really enjoy from this is that you can actually open the plugins from your favorite DAW. So I'm using Pro Tools here. I opened an empty session and we can see the Apogee plugins right here. So now let's pause 1 second. I have a little bit of a critic or suggestion to give to them, which they can easily improve. The only 2 plugins that you can open from your DAW when you buy the Symphony Desktop are the channel strip from Apogee and the Clear Mountain Spaces. That also comes included. That is a limited version of the full plugin from Bob Clear Mountain, which is really, really nice. So that's my first critique. Since you are able to have more plugins right here, and the Pultec and the LA3A come included, but inside of the interface, they should also include the plugins for you to use inside your DAW. They sell it apart, but I think they should include it, because you're already paying some big bucks for this interface. So they've been really kind, and they gave me these plugins so I can show you in this review. So now that I said what I thought about them not including that, now I'm going to give them praises for the amazing plugin they sell separately, which I think they should include. Which have the same plugins as they have in here, but also something I haven't seen on other interfaces is that you can actually use the kind of the driver from the Apogee control that we see right here, like the same parameters that we have here, we have them inside of our DAW. I mean, I haven't seen that on other interfaces, and this is something that I absolutely love. So that means that each channel can have different settings with different compressors, different EQs, different level settings. You can set the microphone or line level or instruments, the final volume, if it has phantom power, soft limit, and everything. So the second you want to just plug in your bass, you can already have your bass chain already active, and the same with the guitar, and you don't have to be setting up levels, so you can have the same sound every time. So I can show you how to do this from the interface. You just click on effects, and you can have, for instance, let's do a very quick chain, 2 plugins here, and I can have, for instance, have a different chain opened up in the B, and I can and I can swap from A to B really easily and be able to choose whatever chain I like. And if I want to save it, I just go into print effects, and I can click here and put save as. This will allow me to save my chain for whoever I'm recording. So now, going back to the main screen, let's check out the outputs. So the main output, I can just click on it, and I can mute or dim it or leave it in mono. And something that's really cool is that if I go to the next screen, I can select the assignment. So you select software playback, that means that I'll be listening to whatever I have going through my computer. So Google Chrome, Pro Tools, whatever I want to have going out through the main 1 and 2 outputs. But I can also select different outputs from my software and be able to listen to them from the interface. So for instance, if I have output 1 and 2 go into the main monitors in the control room where I can hear while I'm mixing and recording a band, I can have the drummer with playback 3 and 4, and I can, by the switch of a button, I can listen to whatever they are listening to in the other room. I can choose between different mixers that we'll see in 1 minute, or direct input from the hardware. So that means that if I plugged in my guitar into number 2 and I just want to listen to the guitar without anything, and I just want to jam a little bit, I can just select analog in 2, and I'll be able to monitor and output that signal. So then we have 2 different headphones, and we can assign whatever we want, same as the main outputs for the headphones. So we can have a headphone dedicated to another musician, or and the first one for us. So if we go into the last setting here, we have mixer 1 and mixer 2, we can see all the inputs and outputs available, which is really nice because we can see all the optical ins. So that means that if we plug another external unit with 8 preamps, we can plug it in with the optical cable to the Symphony Desktop, and suddenly we can have 8 new channels. So that means we can expand it to 10 different inputs, and we can see everything and all the levels from here. So I would suggest when you're recording a band and you have 10 different inputs, you go into this view, and you are going to be able to see the levels of each thing, and also from the different outputs that you have already set up, and a master. So what do you think so far of this interface? Let me know below in a comment. And let's talk a little bit of who is this interface for. I think this interface is not for beginners because it has lots of different flavors you can dial in, and the price tag is not for somebody who's starting out, but it's more for somebody who is already a recording professional and wants to have studio quality wherever they go to. So, and have different flavors of preamps and a very nice connectivity. And I really like the screen. The touch screen works great. The encoder works great, the plugins work great, the interface sounds amazing, but I do have a couple of suggestions, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. First of all, the interface gets very hot. So if you have it on your, so you have it next to you, you'll start feeling the heat from it. Another thing that happens is that I have to turn off the monitors when I turn on the interface, because otherwise it will start making pops and clicks and very loud ones. And something I would ask if it's possible to add something like that is to add like a mute function or a fade in or something like that to the next firmware. Maybe it's not possible. Maybe somebody who works manufacturing interfaces might tell me it's not possible or something else, but that would be really cool because I don't like turning off my monitors when I'm turning on or off the interface. And lastly, my last criticism is that they make you pay for using the plugins inside of your DAW. That's something I think they should include because it's a little bit disappointing. I would rather pay for it when I pay for the whole interface than to have to pay it as an extra, because that makes me feel like they gave me a little bit and then they want more instead of just giving me everything from the start. That's a small criticism, but overall I think it's an amazing interface. It's a very good option for people who are checking them out, and I strongly recommend it. It has a price point of $1,500, more or less, depending on what country you're in. I'll leave affiliate links below, which you can go and check out, of course, and that help out support the channel. And leave me your questions below. And once the next video where I'm going to record a song through this is going to be available, you'll find it right here on the screen. And also go and check out my Duet 3 that I did last year. Till next time, my name is Louis Peluso. Don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free. Bye bye.